That's Wuxtry Records in Athens, Georgia. I was just in there picking up some stuff, so let's see what I got. Greetings, y'all. Welcome to another video. That's the church where R.E.M played their very first show, I think in like 1980 or something like that. But that's all that's left of it. The church is gone, just the steeple's left. They turned it into apartments. Yay! That's Weaver D's. You R.E.M fans might be familiar with their slogan, Automatic for the People. Every time I come here, they're closed. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my trip to Athens, Georgia. I went out there. I'm still down here in Charleston. I drove out there one day to hit up Wuxtry Records and to eat at Weaver D's. And as you saw in the opening, I did not succeed in one of these. I've been to Wuxtry Records almost 10 years ago when I was working on a show. We were based in Georgia. I had some time off and I drove up there and I really liked it. I remember picking up a bunch of the Velvet Underground records on that visit. And I've been to the Wuxtry in Decatur a couple of years ago. And like I said, I was just kind of bored and decided to take this drive out to Wuxtry and to Weaver D's, which unfortunately was closed again. The last time I went and I tried to eat at Weaver D's, they were closed. And this time I tried to eat at Weaver D's and they were closed. So the world does not want me to enjoy some fried chicken, apparently. But Wuxtry is a really cool store. I mean, Athens is a bit of a college town. And so places like that, you expect the record store to really have a good selection, and Wuxtry certainly does. The prices are pretty reasonable. And I found a handful of things there that I picked up. Really cool shop. And next door, I didn't visit it because I just trying to kind of limit my purchases. But next door, they have like an annex, if you want to call it, with a lot more used stuff in there, probably for a lot cheaper prices as well. But definitely worth visiting if you are in that area. Check out Wuxtry, and if you get to eat at Weaver D's, let me know how it is, because I am not successful at that. So let's take a look at what I picked up at Wuxtry. First up, from 2003, we get Mates of State and their album Team Boo. Mates of State, I have a couple of CDs by them. Earlier this summer, I was at Monster Music here in Charleston, and I picked up one of their records that I just really fell in love with. It's like, even though it's an older album, it's like my favorite album of the year so far. I really love that. So when I saw this one there at Wuxtry, I decided to pick up another one and see how my luck would be. And I've listened to this a couple times. It's not as good as that other album, but it's decent. And as you can see, there's kind of like there's like a booklet here, which I'll show you. And then there's this little other thing here that folds out, like a little mini thing that in the booklet, I think it's in the booklet, or no, right here, they kind of show you how to like fold it up. Almost like one of those little things you used to make in school where you'd kind of like ask it questions and there'd be answers when you opened it up. But here's the booklet for Team Boo, and mostly lyrics and a couple of pictures. Good record, kind of like synth, alternative pop music. Very like, their music is heavily included like I guess it's like an organ, got that kind of almost like church organ kind of sound to a lot of their songs, kind of catchy choruses and lyrics and stuff. But it's a decent record. Like I said, it's not as good as that other one. I don't know that I'm going to run out and pick up any of their other ones necessarily, but it was worth it, to try out another one of their records. 2009, we get Wild Yaks and their album 10 Ships Don't Die Yet. And I see my receipt here. Oh yeah, they threw a little sticker in the bag as well. Here's my receipt. This one was $3. The other ones were like $5, $6 for used CDs, not bad. But Wild Yaks, this was released on the Ernest Jennings record company label. And I remember back then in like the 2008, 7, 9, 10, like that, I used to get a lot of these samplers from record labels, like digitally, and discovered a lot of cool music through that. One of which was Wild Yaks, their song. So the tune on here was Crazy But Not Afraid. It's kind of like a, kind of a punk song, I guess. There's no song titles on the back here. There's no song titles on the back there and no booklet, it's just an insert. But that song I always remember liking, and back then when I used to put stuff in my iTunes, I would always try to not use the like sampler artwork. I'd try to find the album that it was on and put that artwork in my iTunes. So I became familiar with a lot of this artwork. So when I saw this artwork, I knew that was the album that had that song I liked on it. So, it's $3. I decided to pick it up. I've listened to this a couple of times, and it's all right. It hasn't really grown on me 100% yet, but it's decent. And the other thing about this album, it's kind of an EP combined with like a live album, because like the first 6 songs are studio recordings, and then the last 4, they're all live recordings. But decent pickup, And finally, 1988 gives us Transvision Vamp. Some of you may remember this band from their song Tell That Girl to Shut Up. At least here in the United States, that was the song that probably most people remember this band from. Over in England, they had a few more hits from that. This one needs to get a new case. So I knew that song. I liked that song back in the 80s. I saw this there and decided to kind of give it a shot. I knew no other songs by this band, but just decided to give this a shot. It's later 80s, like I said, 88. I always kind of thought of them as like a earlier 80s, like new wave act. They're kind of like, pop, synth, alternative kind of sound to them. But, I just decided to take a shot on this one. And to be quite honest, I think I expected to be disappointed. When I picked this up, I really thought like that one song was going to be really good. I still like it, but the rest of it was going to be disappointing, and I wasn't going to really like it, and would have thought this was kind of a waste of a purchase. I had that experience not too long ago with the debut album by Animotion, which I just bought on a whim. I kind of expected I wouldn't really like it, and I didn't. But I'll tell you, this one surprised me. I really, really like this album. I mean, some of it sounds a little dated, of course, but that even the stuff that sounds a little dated, I kind of like. It's pretty catchy. The weird thing is, I love the band The Primitives, and aside from the fact that both bands have like a bleach blonde lead singer, and the dudes playing the instruments and stuff. They do remind me a little bit of the Primitives. There are a handful of these songs that I say, that sort of sound like they could almost be like Primitive songs. I think the Primitives are a little bit more talented than Transvision Vamp, but I definitely saw some similarities, aside from the bleach blonde female singer. But yeah, this really surprised me. I really liked this a lot more than I expected. Like I said, I really was expecting to be like, why did you buy that? You knew it was going to not be good, and it really was pretty good. The band, I think, maybe put out one other record after this or something like that, or maybe one or two, but they kind of faded away in the early 90s, and that was that. But I know they were far more successful in the UK. Some of you out there from the UK probably are a lot more familiar with this band and can vouch for that. But yeah, some pretty good pickups here at Wuxtry Records. Like I said, it's a great shop. Highly recommend checking it out when you're there. And do I need to mention one more time about... Nah, I'm not even gonna say it. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. See you next time.